robot vacuums worth the money? Yes or no? Let's dive in. The short answer is yes for most people, not for everybody. Let's explain why, and here are the things you should look out for when you buy a robot vacuum, so that you're not getting screwed over, all right? So that you actually get one that's gonna last you for years and be easy to upkeep. So my robot vacuum here, I don't even know how old this thing is at this point. It's definitely got several years on it, and it is still cleaning like day one. And the biggest factor in that, the thing that I would tell any of my best friends when they're going in to buy a robot vacuum, is to look at the reviews, really read the reviews, see if they sound like they're written by a robot or a real person. If you can get an in-life recommendation from a friend, that's even better. And two, how easy is it to buy replacement parts? Because parts on this thing, they break, right? Like I need to clean this one up. It needs some maintenance. I'm gonna be doing that later today. But every once in a while, this plastic bar here, it breaks. I have to replace it. It's only happened once since I got it, but like that's a thing to be aware of. The little spinny wheels, the filter inside of it, you have to replace from time to time. We had a robot vacuum a few years back that we absolutely loved. And when we went to go replace the filter, which you have to do every few months, they didn't sell those filters in the country we were living in at the time. And I'm like, that's real sucky. So keep that in mind. You absolutely want to be able to replace the filter. Make sure replacement parts for it's not really a vehicle, your robot vacuum are easy to find, and that'll make it so much easier to maintain. We try to replace things relatively regularly when we see they've got wear and tear, so it doesn't wear and tear out the rest of the machine. And because of that, we've had this same one for years. Another huge thing that you're gonna need to look into when you buy one is whether or not you want a mopping version. I personally prefer most mopping versions. Again, read the reviews and figure out how much mopping it's really doing. This one, for example, it doesn't do an amazing job. Like if you were going through with a real mop, you're still going to need to mop regularly, but it doesn't spit out too much water to the point where it's going to destroy our floors. It's more like a damp cloth on the back that slowly lets out a little bit of water at a time as it's going around so that it can wipe up and dust the floors. It's much better than if it were letting out way too much water. And depending on the type of flooring you have, that might be something that's a priority to you as well. Some people are like, I don't want it to mop, I just want to have it vacuum, and that is going to be a much cheaper option. You also will need to decide whether or not you want a smart vacuum. So the smart vacuums, some of them require you to map your house in order to be able to use them. Like the map of your home has to be on the application. And how I did that with this one is that you go into the instructions, you figure out how to map it. It goes around for like a couple of hours trying to find all the nooks and crannies and identify where all the furniture is. Some people aren't comfortable with that, and that's totally okay. I love it because it gets every inch of my downstairs floor. It's absolutely great, but it is something to keep in mind. You're gonna have to decide whether or not you want that. The other really big advantage with a smart option, and something to look into if it's a feature you're wanting, is we have ours scheduled to go every single day at the same time. So even if we're quite busy, I know I need to get all the crap off the floor before 8:50 a.m. or whatever time it's set to, so that when the robot vacuum goes, it's ready to go and it's not going to run into objects, and it helps keep our house so much cleaner on a day-to-day basis. In my opinion, most robot vacuums are not going to replace a real vacuum. You'll still need sometimes vacuum out your drawers or vacuum into nooks and crannies that maybe the robot vacuum didn't get. But this goes under furniture, underneath my bed. Our regular vacuum is way too difficult to shove under there. So having this go around is excellent, especially because I have allergies. And again, this isn't a sponsored video. This isn't about this robot vacuum in particular. I have loved many a robot vacuum over the years. We've tested out several brands. So far, we've been satisfied with all of them except for the one that you couldn't replace the filters on, because that just sucks. If you can't replace the filters and you have to get a new vacuum every 3 months, that is not practical or sustainable. It's a terrible idea. So this one though, I will, of course, link to the one that we have down in the info bar below. But again, this video isn't about this model in particular. I'm just talking about different features you might be looking for that could be a big advantage when you're looking for a robot vacuum, and things that I wish people had told me before I bought one. Usually when we see posts about robot vacuums, they're either sponsored or they're sponsored and the person hasn't put it in the video or whatever. And so I wanted to, do one that was fully unsponsored, not sponsored at all. But yes, very, very exciting to have one of these things. For me personally, this saves me so much time. I would have to vacuum my home, do a light vacuum or broom at least twice a day if I wasn't using this. With this, we only go through with the big vacuum like once a week, and occasionally I have to sweep up besides, like after I'm done cooking a meal. But other than that, this takes care of everything. And when I look at the time, the amount of hours that have passed every year on my app, like how many hours of work the robot vacuum has done, I am just grateful. I'm grateful that we were able to get this. Robot vacuums are a splurge. Even the cheap robot vacuums, they cost money, and I can understand if it's not a priority for a lot of people, that is a-okay as well. But if you are wondering, is that something that is going to save me time and cut down on my cleaning routine? Absolutely. I will say my parents got one and they're like, oh, ours is terrible. It doesn't clean like yours does. And I said, well, how often are you replacing the filter? And they go, ours doesn't have a filter. And I'm like, they all have filters. So make sure when you get it, you read the little manual about maintenance. It seems like such a little thing, but it really does make a difference in the longevity of your vacuum if you're actually taking care of it properly and cleaning out the different parts and things every once in a while. It's really important to do that. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any other tips that you'd like to leave in the comments below, you can't leave links. So if you're like, oh, I'll just link to this vacuum that we have at home that we love, YouTube will mark that as spam. And if you leave too many comments with links in them, YouTube might just like block your account from your comments being able to be seen by other people. So just as a heads up and a warning, but definitely let me know if you guys have any tips for how you guys pick out a robot vacuum, things that are important to you, things you look for. And I hope you subscribe as well. Make sure you like this video and we will chat soon. Ciao.